Hello everyone. After doing a couple of snap kits, decided it was time to move back up into the glue kit range. So for the next build, I'm going to be building the 1/72 scale fine molds X-Wing. And I won't be building it as Red 5 because pretty much everybody builds Red 5. I'm going to be building it as Red 2 Wedge Antilles plane, which served both as Red 2 in Return of the Jedi and as Red 2 in Star Wars, Red Leader in Return of the Jedi. The good news is, after doing some freeze frames on the DVD, they didn't change the markings on the plane. So I can follow the decal guide here, maybe add a little more weathering, maybe a couple more patches. But I'll be able to use that kit and those instructions. And one thing I did do, back when I first built this, when I built my first one of these, HobbyLink Japan had available English versions of the instructions, which is what I've got printed out right here. Just makes it a lot easier to understand if you don't read kanji. Still debating if I'm going to build it gear down or if I'm going to build it gear up in flight. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it, I guess. Now, it's time for me to get started. Just going through, kind of as a memory refresher, the parts sprues. Got two identical sprues here for the wings, engines, main landing gear, as well as the parts for the astromech droids. In the same bag with the decals is the clear sprue with the canopies. I'm going to leave the base pieces bagged for now. And right now, I don't know. I'm still debating if I'm going to leave the plastic the base light gray or if I'm going to do like I did with my Red 7 build and give it a white base coat. We'll cross that bridge though when we get further along in the build. Got a little bit of progress to report here. As you can see, got the pilot figure painted up. It's a little dark, but that's alright. The small scale won't matter too much. Didn't show up all that well, but I've got the green patches in on his helmet, otherwise normal Republic flight suit paint colors. Also giving the figure a black wash. Over here, we've got more smaller pieces. Got the main instrument panel, the cockpit itself, and the instrument deck that goes behind the cockpit, along with the little R2 head. Rather than use these itty-bitty decals, which, as you can see by the end of my file, are not that big, they were giving me problems, mostly because I've got really big fingers, and this piece is not easy to grasp at the moment. So what I did is I went in with a small brush by hand and picked out the details on the head of the R2 unit. Yeah, shows it better from this angle. The details here were picked out in black. The whole cockpit was then given a black wash, same with the control panel. I may go in and hit a couple of details in gunmetal, but that's where we're sitting at the moment. Okay, at this point, fuselage is assembled, except for, of course, inserting the wings. Waiting to insert the pilot till later. Wingtips are also assembled. This is going to be another quick build stage, I'm fairly sure. Alright, the wings are basically assembled at this point. All I need now is the wingtip cannons put on. Got the end caps painted in gunmetal. The engine inserts painted in with gunmetal. Now, one hiccup I did have, these little vertical bits inside the engines, I had one go sprawling. It's somewhere in the carpet monster. So this lower engine is going to be missing the for lack of a better term, splitter in the intake. At this point, that's where we're sitting. It's time to start putting landing gear together, decide if I'm going to use the landing gear, and get ready for final assembly of everything except the canopy. Alright, at this point, main assembly is done. The only thing I haven't done is put the canopy on and inserted wedge. Just need to decal it and get the canopy on, and that one will be ready to go. Okay, at this stage of the game, I'm going to show you where I've gotten to and call this build done. Gave the whole model a black wash. Well, first I dull coated it before I put the canopy on. I dull coated the model, I gave it a black wash and wiped off all the excess. Gave the engines a second black wash as well as the back panel here. Then I went in with Vallejo smoke and added a little more weathering, even some inside the wings. The kit supplied base was painted in black with the X-Wing fighter logo put on the placard. Wedge was glued into the cockpit, and then the canopy was put on. The canopy itself, I hand painted the frames in Vallejo gray primer, and then hand painted a coat of Alclad's flat onto the frames themselves. In the end, really happy with how this one turned out. As per usual, apologize for shaky cam here. As per usual, I'll put some stills at the end of this, and thank you all for watching.